Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told how to voice the radio. So today, we need to talk about what we talked about yesterday, but add a bunch more stuff, and admit that I was wrong. Although again, when I say I'm wrong, it's not because I was silly, or made some massive mistake. I made what I'm still contend was a very sensible prediction yesterday. Just turned out to be wrong. Now, yesterday I told you about a new special set that was coming, a set in the vein of, say, 151 or Powday and Face. And I told you that we'd seen a few listings, including a Singapore listing for August and a US listing for the 12th of July. And quite simply, if we got a US listing for the 12th of July and a Singaporean listing for August, we would generally tend to believe the US listing, because Singapore may get them at different times, different territory and all of that. And secondly, we have main sets in August. So the idea of having a mini set in August when we generally get a main set in August, that makes no sense. And I'm just going to jump in quickly here and remind you guys, I'm doing a Whatnot stream tomorrow, 8 p.m. UK time. We're going to be auctioning off a whole bunch of really cool stuff, starting at £1, everything starting at £1, nice and easy, and giving away a bunch of EUIC merch, which is going to be shipping internationally and no purchase or any of that required. Just come and hang in the stream and you can win some EUIC merch, or you can take part in the Whatnot stream and that'll be fun too. Use the code in the description to get £10 credit, but seriously, come join me on my Whatnot stream tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. With the information we had yesterday, saying that an August release for a mini set was likely was frankly ridiculous. We didn't have enough information to say that, and generally speaking, a mini set releasing in August is kinda silly, because we have main sets that release in August. And I mean, well, let's just track back through the last few years, shall we? What happened last August? We got Obsidian Flames. There were pre-releases at Worlds. It was lovely. Obsidian Flames came out in August. It was kind of fun. Now, weirdly, in 2022, we got Lost Origin, which came out right at the beginning of September, which is, frankly, a little bit off-brand. But then in 2021, in August, we got Evolving Skies. And then in 2020, in August, we got Darkness Ablaze. 2019, in August, we got Unified Minds. 2018, in August, we got Celestial Storm. I'm not going to keep going back. You get the idea. Yes, I know that Lost Origin was an exception. Came out right at the beginning of September. But generally, we get ourselves a main set in August. Although I do have to mention, because I'm being pedantic, in 2019, we did get Unified Minds at the beginning of August, and then we got Hidden Fates right at the end of August, which is again a little bit weird. So it's not like it's never happened, and there's never been exceptions, there absolutely have. But generally speaking, we don't get mini sets in August, because we get main sets in August. That is the general rule. Well, I've been digging, frankly, since yesterday. I've been having a good old dig around, and it turns out it really does look like we are getting this mini set in August. The dates that I keep seeing thrown around again and again, and like I say, I've done a whole bunch of digging, is that the mini set first releases on the 2nd of August. Remember, these mini sets often have, special sets, often have staggered release dates. So first releasing on the 2nd of August. With Scarlet and Violet 7, the set after Twilight Masquerade, releasing on the 13th of September, which is late. Now, these release dates actually have a couple of very important knock-on effects, and this is the kind of thing I spend way too much time digging into, but this is the kind of stuff you need to know. Now, if we turn our attention to Worlds for a moment, this mini set releasing on the 2nd of August, first release on the 2nd of August, there are, like the booster bundle comes out on the 6th of September, for instance. Well, that means it will be legal for Worlds. Sets become legal 2 weeks after they're released. A release on the 2nd of August means it becomes legal on the 16th of August, which is day one of the World Championships. As I explained in yesterday's video, I am not expecting it to be a particularly relevant set. in terms of playable cards. I am not expecting it to have a huge impact on the metagame, but all it's going to take is 1 or 2 cards, and it will have a big impact on the metagame potentially, so keep an eye out. And this is going to be very interesting indeed, because it's going to become legal on day 1 of Worlds, just like how we literally just saw Temporal Forces become legal for the first day of EUIC. And we know that Twilight Masquerade is going to become legal for the first day of North American Internationals, NAIC. This, if true, and again, I've seen enough around to believe this sincerely at this point, will become legal for the first day of the World Championships, which is going to be very interesting. The other interesting knock-on effect is that there's going to be a small gap between Scarlet and Violet 7 and Scarlet and Violet 8. So if we use recent sets as an example, you may have noticed how Paradox Rift released in November, the beginning of November, but Temporal Forces didn't actually release until March the 22nd, which of course means that's over 4 months. That's like 4 months and 3 weeks, which is a long time between sets. It's an average of 3 months. But then between Temporal Forces and Twilight Masquerade, there is exactly 2 months. That is a much shorter thing. Well, we're going to see the same thing here, because between Twilight Masquerade on the 22nd of May and Scarlet and Violet 7 at the beginning of September, that's more than a 3-month gap. But then we are going to have a November set, so we're going to see a smaller gap between Scarlet and Violet 7 and Scarlet and Violet 8. I've said this before in many videos, but just let me reiterate it now. Pokemon will not move the November set. The last time we didn't have a set releasing in November was EX Delta Species, which released in 2005 on October the 31st. Technically not November. Okay? Technically not November. But yeah, we have a November set. The reason is really quite simple. November and December are the key shopping months for Christmas. You don't mess with the November set, because messing with the November set gives you much less time to actually try and sell your stuff in advance for Christmas, which is huge for consumer goods and toys and all of that. So there is no chance we don't have a November set. So it is going to be legal for Worlds. It is going to mean that the gap between Scarlet and Violet 7 and Scarlet and Violet 8 is quite short, just like it was the gap between, or is going to be, I suppose, between Temporal Forces and Twilight Masquerade. It has some knock-on effects. We don't actually know anything about Scarlet and Violet 7 at this stage. We've not been told anything, but we do have some Japanese sets, which we've seen listings for. They haven't had a big announcement, but they have had listings. And that is that we are getting Night Wanderer on June the 7th and Stellar Miracle on July the 19th. It would make a lot of sense that they would together be Scarlet and Violet 7, the one coming out in September. And that is going to feature Stellar Pokemon EXs. Again, we've seen listings to know these are true. And they're going to be, the set as a whole is going to be a Terrapagos set. That is going to be like the poster child of the set, and it's going to bring in Stellar EXs, which is honestly kind of exciting. So okay, I lied. We do know a little bit about Scarlet and Violet 7. So back to the special set then. Seems like it's going to be legal for Worlds. What's it going to be? Well, my prediction yesterday was a mop-up set with no Japanese equivalent. Basically, Champion's Path. A set where basically all we do is we look at what's come out in Japan but not over here, and we have a small set with no Japanese equivalent just mopping up, which would actually still work beautifully if we've got enough cards, which I'm not even sure we do, because of course that would mean we didn't have to worry about what Japan's got legal and we don't. Anything Japan's got that we don't have in the format, we put in this set, make it legal for Worlds, jobs are good 'em. But I'm thinking we could potentially have a Pokemon Go style set instead. Now, when I say a Pokemon Go style set, I don't mean it's based around Pokemon Go. I'm not saying Pokemon Sleep or any of that. What I mean is a set that releases simultaneously, pretty much, in Japan and in the West. And this would still make sense. Like I say, we've got sets scheduled for June and July. We would usually expect August to be a break. 2 months on, 1 month off is the general cadence for Japanese releases. But if we had a special set releasing in August, then we could have it releasing in Japan and the West at the same time, which would make sense with Japan's release schedule, and also would make sense why it hasn't yet been announced. So maybe at the Champions League this weekend, or maybe even the next one, maybe we see an announcement. One of the problems we had looking at this yesterday was Japan gets the cards first. That is pretty much always the case, with only very rare exceptions. And with sets listed in Japan in June and July, that didn't leave a gap. If we assume it's a simultaneous release and it's actually coming out in August, which it really looks like it is, well then all of a sudden that actually would kind of make sense and is still a possibility. Now in terms of the products we've had listed, we have had, for Scarlet and Violet 7, we haven't seen much like Elite Trainer boxes and boosters, but we know what we're going to get with a main set. But for the mini set here, we got mini tins, Illustration Rare Collection, Elite Trainer box, 3-pack blisters, and an EX Special Collection, all of which I told you about yesterday, releasing on the 2nd of August, and then a booster bundle releasing on the 6th of September. And this is exactly what we saw with Paldean and Fates, which is to say, you can have a booster bundle, but it's like 4 weeks, actually 5 weeks here, after the release of the set. It's the last thing out, which does 2 things. It gives Pokemon more time to print it, and also makes it less exciting, because people that really want to collect the set, they're going to go for things like Elite Trainer boxes on release. They're not going to wait for booster bundles. Because remember, for 151, the booster bundles released with the rest of the set sold out almost instantly and became a real pain. For Paldean Fates coming a bit later, they were great and very much in stock. And remember, with special sets like this, you cannot buy individual packs, booster boxes, etc., which is why the booster bundles, 6 packs for the price of 6 packs, become so much better. Right, there we go. That's what you need to know. That's everything we know and everything we can take from it. And I know it's a lot, and I know it's a little bit of if this, then this, etc., but look, I am giving you the best information that I've got. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about all of this. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout outs on the channel like the lovely Martin Cornwall, who I ran into at EUIC this past weekend, and it was awesome. And has been supporting us since we started the podcast in 2012. So shout out to them for the support and the awesomeness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.